Mackenzie Lueck was born on March 8, 1996, and grew up in California in a loving religious family. She had an older brother and two younger brothers, with whom she shared a close bond. Her family was deeply rooted in faith, regularly attending church and placing great importance on prayer together. During high school, Mackenzie discovered her passion for water sports. She played water polo and was a member of her school's swim team. After graduating, she decided to move to Utah and pursue a degree in nursing in Salt Lake City. To support herself financially, she worked part-time at a company specializing in biological testing. Mackenzie was ambitious and full of plans for her future. During her studies, she developed a deep interest in medicine and considered either studying medicine or specializing in health sciences after graduation to help others. However, these dreams were tragically cut short. On June 17, 2019, her family and friends began to worry. The 23-year-old had suddenly become unreachable. Calls and messages went unanswered, and her social media activity came to an abrupt halt. Initially, her family assumed she was taking some time for herself. She had just gone through an emotional period following the death of her beloved grandmother, which had brought her back to California for the funeral. On the night of June 17th, Mackenzie returned to Utah. At 2 a.m., she sent her mother a final message. "Landed. Love you, Mom." After that, there was silence. Her family thought she might simply need some time to recharge after such a taxing period. But when 3 days passed with no word from her, their concern grew. On June 20th, her father reported her missing to the police. The investigation began immediately, leading to a case that would later capture nationwide attention. The police reviewed surveillance footage from the airport. The footage showed Mackenzie leaving the building and getting into a Lyft, a ride-hailing service similar to Uber. After that, her trail went cold. No one knew where she went or whether the driver was involved in her disappearance. As unfortunately has become common in such cases, the police were initially slow to act. Mackenzie was an adult and legally allowed to go wherever she wanted. Her friends and classmates, however, quickly grew concerned for the 23-year-old. They began an extensive search, distributing countless flyers, but all their efforts were in vain. On June 25th, a week after Mackenzie was last heard from, the police officially classified her as missing and released information to the media. They also located the Lyft driver who insisted he had dropped Mackenzie off alive at her requested destination. What surprised investigators, though, was the location itself. Mackenzie had not requested to be taken home as initially assumed. Instead, she had asked to be dropped off at the edge of a park, a popular spot for cyclists and walkers. However, choosing to go there alone at 3 a.m. was highly unusual. According to the driver, Mackenzie told him she was meeting a friend at the park. After he dropped her off, she reportedly walked straight to someone who was waiting and got into that person's car. She appeared calm and seemed to know the individual. The police deemed the Lyft driver's account credible. GPS data corroborated his story, and shortly after dropping Mackenzie off, he had picked up another passenger. Still, Mackenzie's behavior puzzled investigators. Her friends described her as shy and not the type to meet a stranger in a park late at night. However, as the police began digging into her background, a different side of Mackenzie emerged. It appeared that Mackenzie had been trying to step out of her comfort zone and take more risks. This theory was supported by Rob Joseph, a former police officer and private investigator. According to him, he had met Mackenzie at a bar 3 weeks before her disappearance. She had confided in him that she used the dating site Seeking Arrangement to look for a sugar daddy, an arrangement where a man provides financial support or gifts in exchange for companionship or intimacy. Investigators quickly located Mackenzie's profile on the site. Using the name BeachBabe96, she appeared to be actively seeking connections with men. Her Facebook profile also contained posts that hinted at her success on the platform. In one post, she wrote, "I have some experience with seeking arrangement, only online. I currently have 29 inches." It seemed likely that Mackenzie had also arranged to meet someone from the platform on the night she disappeared. On her phone, investigators discovered chat logs with a particular user. It was confirmed that this individual's phone had been connected to the same cell tower as Mackenzie's near the park on the night of her disappearance. By June 26th, investigators managed to identify the suspect. The 31-year-old Ayoola Ajayi lived in Salt Lake City. Originally from Nigeria, he had immigrated to the United States, working as a model and IT specialist. Prior to this, he had briefly served in the U.S. Army. Ajayi had attended Utah State University, but was expelled in 2012 after his visa encountered problems, and he was accused of stealing an iPad. In 2015, he began studying computer science again, but soon dropped out. It was also revealed that he was married, though his wife left him due to his aggressive behavior. Reports allege that Ajayi would have violent outbursts if she did not comply with his wishes. These findings were of particular interest to law enforcement. Ajayi was interrogated on June 27. During questioning, he claimed to have met Mackenzie Lueck through seeking arrangement, but denied any involvement in her disappearance. Investigators, however, knew this claim was false. GPS data and surveillance footage confirmed that Ajayi's vehicle was near the park on the night Mackenzie disappeared. Upon examining his phone, investigators discovered numerous photos of Mackenzie. This led to his arrest and a subsequent search of his home. Surveillance cameras were notably found in his bedroom and bathroom, which was suspicious since he also rented out his home via Airbnb. Further investigation revealed that Ajayi had contacted a construction company months before Mackenzie's disappearance to build a soundproof hidden room with metal hooks in the ceiling. The construction company refused the request, deeming it strange. Additionally, Ajayi had a criminal history with allegations of sexual harassment and violence. In one particular case, he had pressured a woman into sexual activity after a date and bitten her when she refused. On June 28th, the police were forced to release Ajayi due to insufficient evidence. However, the following day, he was arrested again after investigators discovered a fire pit in his backyard containing partially burned identification documents and human remains. DNA testing confirmed that the remains belonged to Mackenzie. Further evidence came to light, including GPS data tracking Ajayi to Logan Canyon, where investigators found Mackenzie's missing remains buried in a shallow grave. An autopsy concluded that Mackenzie had been bound with a belt and strangled. She had died from blunt force trauma so severe that it had left a 5-centimeter hole in her skull. Police suspected that Ajayi had planned the murder months earlier when he began communicating with Mackenzie. Ayoola Ajayi was charged with a serious crime and pleaded guilty to the murder on October 17, 2020. He admitted to planning the crime, stating that he had bound and injured Mackenzie in his house. Afterward, he hid her body in his backyard before moving it to a remote location to destroy evidence. Additionally, investigators found incriminating material on his computer, connecting him to several other criminal cases. Due to the severity of his crimes, Ajayi was sentenced to life imprisonment without the possibility of parole in October 2020. During the sentencing, Ajayi expressed remorse for his actions, though the victim's family remained unconvinced by his claims of regret. They emphasized the profound pain and grief his actions had caused and stated that the loss would never be forgotten or forgiven. At the end of 2020, Ajayi faced another trial for a similar case and again pleaded guilty, resulting in additional prison sentences. An FBI expert explained that it was vital for Ajayi to no longer pose a danger to society. It is important to remember that Mackenzie bore no responsibility for the events leading to her death. She was a victim of this horrific crime. Viewers are encouraged to remain respectful while sharing their thoughts in the comments, remembering that stories like this are opportunities to raise awareness about critical issues.